We've got 3 copies of Crysis 2 and 3 copies of Crysis 3 to give away to you guys as part of this little sponsored series. Let me know in the comments what was your favourite Nano-Suit skill and why. Hi guys, welcome back to SwitchUp. This is part 2 of our series looking at the Crysis Remastered trilogy. What I failed to mention in the first one is that you get 30% off of the asking price of either the second or third games if you've already bought the first one, and that goes on until the 29th of October. This time round we'll have a look at Crysis 3. This was obviously the most demanding of the 3 games. I actually remember buying a brand new graphics card and PC just to run this one, and then the first level absolutely dominated it. So how's it going to handle on the Nintendo Switch? After the second one, things are looking positive. And thanks to Crytek and Team Saber for working with us on these. Now the question remains, how does it perform on Switch? Let's find out. Okay, first up then, the price, as mentioned before, £44.99 or your regional equivalent if you want to buy the trilogy as all 3 games together. But if you want to buy them individually, then do make sure you get that 30% discount, which only applies until 29th of October. When it comes to visual quality, again then, we're looking at up to 720p in handheld and up to 900p when playing in docked. There are some much larger areas here, so there are a couple of times where it falls below that 900p mark, but it still remains remarkably clear. Everything from the dynamic shadows, god rays being cast from the sky through tree leaves, reflections on water and even water ripples, to those very cool shallow depth of field effects that happen when you look at your weapon, are all represented here in fine form. View distance is particularly good, and although shadow maps seem to have had their distance pulled in a touch, there are some areas where distant foliage is still visible, and the geometry and landscapes is looking really good on the Switch version. The thing we want to know though is the frame rate. How is it running? And just like the second game, it's 30 frames per second locked out. I tried this in that huge open area where the laser cannon's shooting at you, as I do remember my PC weeping at this moment, and it's fine, not a problem at all. The same goes for handheld, and the same sentiment remains that I think this is probably one of the best looking games for handheld I've ever played on Switch. It feels a bit like a watershed moment in gaming. Playing these types of experiences in handheld on what's essentially just a tablet device beggars belief. There's quite a bit of motion blur on both of these games, and you do have the option of reducing or turning that off, with 3 having a further customization of some of the lighting effects. Gyro control is equally good in number 3 as it is in number 2, and once again you can change the sensitivities and invert the y-axis. The third game includes quite a few new weather effects. It's most noticeable on that first stage where you're put onto that oil rig, and these used to have a big effect on the performance over on PC, but whatever magic has taken place, it's not an issue here. As with the second, textures look great on the Switch version, with real-time shadows cast on all of the objects. The CryEngine clearly works just very well on the Switch. A bit like Frostbite. We saw Frostbite brought over in Plants vs Zombies, but as of now, CryEngine seems to be one of the best performing. Even things like transparency on glass, as well as being able to leave precise bullet holes through them, are all represented well on the Switch version. These should be taxing, but they don't appear to be, and I guess that is just down to Saber's optimization. Now, something I didn't look at on the first game, or the second game I should say, are the load times. When you're loading into the stage for the first time, it can take a little while. However, within the stage, the intermission load times are relatively brief. These are generally disguised with some form of door opening or other small cutscene. We know that next-gen versions of the remasters include 60 FPS and ray tracing and lots of other bells and whistles, but they didn't just leave the Switch version out on its own. Despite quite high resolutions and decent frame rates, they did also work with some dynamic resolution. They brought across improved shadow transitions, improved lighting, better materials on surfaces as well as textures, and according to the developers, they really did want to make an experience best played in handheld. That's quite unusual, but I think it kind of makes sense, particularly with the OLED, and it's kind of the unique selling point of the Switch that it's able to do both. The cutscenes in 3 really were a step up over the second game, and part of this is down to the character models. Character models look great.
You okay?
It's nothing.
That goes for Psycho as well as the enemies, but the star of the show addition for me when I was younger was the bow and arrow. Now the bow with that gyro control and the finite level of auto aiming makes it super easy to pick off headshots. It's worth noting you can turn off auto aim if you want, but if you're a player that prefers stealth, then 3 might be the game that you prefer in the 3 games, as those arrows don't deactivate your cloak and you can be an absolute ninja. This is a remaster and not a remake, so you won't find any core gameplay changes to the titles, and the trilogy is right up there now, I'd say, with probably the best first-person shooter series we've got on Switch. If you haven't played any of the games, they're essentially sandbox first-person shooters, and your Nano-Suit allows you to do several different abilities like get super strong and throw people, apply a stealth shield to go invisible and then silently take down enemies, and customize any of the weapons that you find in the world with silencers, scopes, and then approach each of those sandboxes however you choose. What I'll do then is stick a link to the Crysis 2 Remastered performance review down in the description, as well as the top comment. If you want to also leave your same comment over on that video or a different comment, that will increase your chances of winning one of those copies of 2 and 3. We'll announce the winners of those in a community post, and you will get 2 and 3 together. I think it'll be a bit harsh if we just gave you one of them. I wonder how many people prefer playing these stealthily like myself. It'll be interesting in the comments to see the split of people that go John Rambo and those that play quietly. The 2 games don't have multiplayer, these are single player only. There are a couple of other extra things like extra options. You can go and check out the different Nano-Suits from the main menu or read up on the story. But that's it, please do go and check out the other video, leave a comment over there to double your chances of winning. We'll probably announce those maybe Thursday. We've also got to announce the winner of another giveaway that Glen did the other day. That will be tomorrow. If you enjoy the channel, then do let us know down in the comments. Thanks to our patrons, thanks to Saber and Crytek and the guys, all the people that worked on Crysis for supporting the channel by letting us, well, essentially strip your games apart to see how they perform. Thanks to our patrons, you're awesome. For all things Switch, all the time, keep it Switch up. Cheers guys, have a good weekend. See ya!